Pulsechain, new blockchain coming out, and we have another project that is currently, I believe, going through their sacrifice. I'm going to explain what I mean by believe it is going through their sacrifice because their verbiage is not clear on the information that they provide. But what is that project? POWERCITY. We're going to take a look at their white paper, which I read through twice, because when you read through something the first time, there's always stuff you miss. And going through it a second time allows you to see more than what you did the first time. So we're going to go through and explain POWERCITY to the best of our understanding and to touch on the sacrifice as well. So with that being said, if this is your first time here, what's up? My name is Sam, and for those of you who are returning, it is good to freaking see you. If you're returning, I don't know why you aren't subscribed. You should definitely be subscribed. So, you got a bunch of notes here. POWERCITY. So I heard about this just the other day from somebody in a Telegram. And I was like, let me check this thing out, right? It's a new project. New projects could be very profitable, right? If you can get into the ground floor. Now, I'm not saying that you should sacrifice for something like this. I'm just saying that they could be very profitable if it is a good project, right? And I do have some questions that came up when I read through this white paper. Does that mean it couldn't still be profitable, right? No, that is not necessarily the case, but I'll give you all my thoughts on it and try to be as objective as possible. And just the data I'm seeing, this is what came to my mind. You'd be like, well, that's stupid, Sam. Don't even think about that, right? Or like, oh, maybe there is a point there. Right? Just to have things in mind, you make that decision. So let's get started. POWERCITY is going to, the essence, like the distilled version of POWERCITY is that it sounds like, and they're not clear in their paper, that it's just going to be a DAO that is going to create and or fund projects and investments. So if you like that, then that could be very interesting to you, right? A DAO is a decentralized autonomous organization. So where could you kind of like draw a parallel to get a better understanding? Think of like investing into an angel fund. Think of like investing into a mutual fund, right? You know what a mutual fund is in the traditional finance. So think of like investing into a mutual fund or like an activist fund where you invest into some type of PE or hedge fund that invests into projects that they believe that they want to be an activist in, or that project they're investing in is going to create some type of activism that they support. And that, in the nutshell, is what it is. Now, this is on a little bit of a tangent here, but I'm relatively new to crypto space. And, well, very new, right? Relative to some of the people who've been in for years and years and years. The thing that I notice, and I've read through several of these, I haven't read through a ton of these like white paper type papers yet, but several of them, is that appears not a lot of people have experience on explaining things in a way that answers users' questions about what can happen. And there could be a reason, right? Like I saw the same thing with Internet of Money Wallet or Internet Money Wallet or whatever that it's called. After I talked to KG, and I'm not saying it's a bad thing, it was just like, what is this trying to do? What's the essence of this? Like, what's the value proposition for the end user, right? And I didn't see that in the paper that I was reading, but after talking, I was able to actually distill that from them, right? So I'm trying to do that here. So it's kind of like a fund that invests in activism to increase adoption rate of Pulsechain through investing in projects or creating projects that support adoption in these fundamental ways. There's about 5 or 6 of them. The first is this thing that they call the core. POWERCITY is the core. That's what they're calling it, right? And this is going to allow them to be that like fund, so to speak, that does the investing in that. So the first thing that they say that they're going to be creating is something called a transformer bridge. When you have to onboard people, when somebody's onboarding, right? The easiest way to onboard is through something like Coinbase or Kraken or one of these other centralized exchanges. And that's cool and everything, but there's also a lot of peripheral money, right? So think of like this, I'm looking at the camera here. Peripheral, right? I can see things like over here, like on the edges of what I'm going on, but I'm actually looking at the camera. So peripherally, there's a lot of money hanging out in other chains. Centrally, Ethereum has a boatload of money, but there's a lot of peripheral money over here. They want to create a bridge from these other exchanges. Let's see here, which other exchanges they mentioned. Phantom was one of them, Avalanche, and I think they mentioned BSC or something else like that, or another 1 or 2 exchanges or something like that, or that's on a second transformer that they want to build. They say it's going to be lower fees. It doesn't seem like that's the case though. Reducing the cost to onboard new users allows users to retain more of their precious capital. So they say this line here, it says by reducing the friction to fiat on and off ramps for users all over the world. Transform will benefit Pulsechain and open the door to new users and opportunities for everyone. So opening new opportunities to make it easier for people to get from these other chains to Pulsechain, yes, that seems like it's that promise out. I don't see how it's going to reduce costs, as what they say. Like they give an example here, Coinbase and centralized exchanges, users can buy AVAX or FTM, right? Phantom or Avalanche. Withdraw to their MetaMask and cheaply swap to Pulse using Transformer. And then they go through this example, right? Transformer will automate the swap in a single action for you, from swapping from this to this, then you do this and this. So it's reducing these steps down to 1 step. Cool. So if you mean cost, how the average person thinks about cost, then it seems like it's just going to be a more expensive transaction, right? Not a reduction in the transaction, right? Unless they're trying to say that like you don't have to go through Ethereum, but I'm sure that there's other ways to go from each one of these to get over without that. So if they're talking about not going to Ethereum and transferring over, right, then yes, reduction in cost, but reduction in time, which is also a cost, seems to be another benefit, but they don't exactly mention this. So this could be valuable, right? If that process is super cumbersome and not very transparent to people who want to move their money over, but they don't know or understand how to do that without going through Ethereum. Although if you're in one of these other chains, you're probably fucking smart enough to figure it out in order to be able to do this. So this could be very, very helpful, creating a direct like path, right, between the two without touching Ethereum, which that could be super valuable, right? They're coming out with a NFT marketplace, assuming that people want to come over from those platforms, right? But having that access point just allows it easier adoption. Pixel Park. So this is an NFT marketplace. I think there's 2 or 3 other NFT marketplaces that are already launching on Pulsechain. Could this see any type of additional adoption? I don't know. I mean, if you have like somebody that focuses on NFTs and that's all the project does versus one aspect of 5 different aspects of a project focusing on NFTs, I don't know. I just feel like if I do shit every single day and you just do it part-time, like I'll be better at it than you will be. That's just how it works because I'm doing it every day and they're doing it as a side thought, as a separate project. I don't know. But I think Mintra is a one, and I think there's one other one. This was kind of interesting, right? NAAS, you've heard of TAS, or like transportation as a service, right? That's going to be a gigantic industry as we continue to develop full self-driving. Nodes as a service. So this is kind of interesting. I personally don't know the difference between a node and a validator, so you can let me know down below in the comments, right? But miners and validators are just kind of like the people who are processing the blocks, it sounds like, or from my understanding. And a node is, maybe a buffer in that part. I don't fully understand that. You can let me know down below in the comments. So they're creating these nodes, servers, for people to rent. Like, this reminds me of something like AWS. Is something like this available? I don't know. Is somebody else doing this? I don't know. It sounds super interesting. The only question I have on here is that it says node creators are compensated for helping maintain healthy nodes, and node users pay rent, right? So like, you're brokering the deal from my understanding, right? It says like nodes as a service, but what they're doing, it sounds like, is it's just brokering or creating that like middleman between two people who are trying to connect. I don't know. Like, I'm literally I'm going through and reading this, and I'm just not trying to be like super skeptical. It's just that I read through this and I'm like, So it says nodes as a service, but you're not owning them and not maintaining them, and you're not paying for them, and you're just taking a fee from the transaction, meaning you're just bringing those people together. Cool. Maybe that's a need that needs to be solved. It's fucking gigantic. I don't know. It's just NAAS, right? Sounds like something you might be providing, but it's not the case here. But further on here, they say that right here, node creators are compensated for helping maintain healthy nodes. And maybe this is because of my naivete when it comes to nodes. Right? So it says like, you build the node, you maintain the node, and I'll bring you a customer and I'll take a portion of that fee. Right? That's what it sounds like. And then it says they're maintained centrally by PowerCity. It says servers, right here. I don't know if you can see this because my header's covering up, but it says servers are configured and maintained centrally by PowerCity. So the configuration is maintained centrally by PowerCity. I'm not exactly sure on that, but this could be very interesting. They mention that if you're a node creator, you will get a NFT, and the NFT will be your kind of faucet for fees for maintaining and creating the node, or maintaining the node, right? So basically, if you're holding this NFT, you can earn Pulse or a stable coin. So kind of interesting. The market for these NFTs might be interesting for people who want a steady supply of income. So that could be interesting, but if that's the case, and you would think that node creators may want to hold on to these, right? And they may not want to sell them, although I'm sure some would. But to earn Pulse, right? If you're bullish on Pulse, like, you can earn more Pulse, right? That seems like a good thing. And if you need income, and earning a stable coin like that could be very beneficial to you. They have this thing called, they are going to call a accelerator yield compounder. Basically, it's an auto yield compounder. So, when you invest in the traditional legacy world, you can auto compound your dividends. So you get a dividend from company, and it shows up in your account, and then it's automatically invested back into the fund. to earn more, right? It's an auto compounder. I don't know why they didn't just call it that, but seems like a more simple name. But anyways, sounds like I'm being really critical here, but these are just like literally thoughts that I'm having. But I'm saying them out loud, and it sounds like I'm being really critical of this, but these are things that I'm like thinking as I go through and look at this. In a moment, we're going to talk about the sacrifice. That's basically what this is going to do. Maybe this is maybe this is like a protocol. Maybe the auto compounder is like a protocol that can be implemented by other protocols, right? Like if that's the case, it could be, if this could, auto compounder could be implemented in other protocols that have staking so that people don't have to stake and it lowers the cost of restaking. So what I mean by that is if somebody stakes on protocol A and they earn funds, they earn tokens, and then they have those tokens sitting there, then they have to take those tokens and restake them, right? There's a cost there. So if this auto compounder is able to be implemented in right, let's say B is another project where B is able to take this protocol. If it actually is a protocol, I might just be putting this out there, I have no idea. But it says compounding automation may be implemented across multiple Pulsechain DeFi protocols. So that's what gives me that idea that this could be implemented. So project A, you have to take your funds and you have to actually go through and restake them to continue earning. And that's going to cost that transaction, right? If this is able to be implemented where that transaction cost is reduced and the time that somebody spends doing that is reduced, this could be very useful, right? So in project B, if somebody has money, coins that are staked and they're earning more coins and they don't want to have that time or anything, this could be very valuable because then it just takes that daily earnings and just re-puts it back in to earn more in there. So this could be interesting. And then they talk about metaverse, and they don't, not really specific or anything about, this. Entertainment and media is a multi-trillion-dollar market that seems to be continually growing. Okay, cool. Of that, virtual reality project is projected to grow at the highest rate. I could agree with that. PowerCity Meta will be persistent and fun world where users can interact with PowerCity dApps, social, play games, and more. Pretty ambiguous to me. Many more tools are planned, including multi-signature wallets and lending protocols, which are details that have not been finalized. So hopefully you are able to learn something through this and understand. If you have any thoughts about some of the things that I said, please let me know. If I was completely wrong in some of those things, let me know your opinion down below in the comments. Let's touch on the sacrifice. So the sacrifice says, it sounds like it's still going on, right? There's a timer and everything here. When you come down in here, they have the date here. It says 3/23, so March 23rd till launch of Pulsechain. So I think that it seems like that there's a 1-for-1, one USD for a point, a sacrifice point, will get you from now until the launch of Pulse chain, and it will continue. And then if you sacrifice to Pulse chain, PulseX, liquid loans, or internet money, you get a bonus on these. Now, I asked this question in their Telegram. I didn't hear my phone going off, so I might have got the response. I probably should have read that beforehand, but the question was, if somebody used multiple different wallets, right? I used wallet 1 for Pulsechain, wallet 2 for PulseX, wallet 3 for liquid loans, wallet 4 for internet money, and I was like, okay, cool. Now this project's coming out. I believe in one of those things that we just talked about and think that there could be value there. I want to sacrifice for this, and how is that recognized? If you have 4 different wallets and you use a 5th wallet to sacrifice that it's not tied to any of these other wallets, I have no idea how they plan on doing that, because I think that's probably a bunch of people's, I would guess that's how a lot of people have done it. They haven't sacrificed to all 4 of these projects in the same wallet. I did not get an answer. Well, my phone's gone off. I don't know if there's an answer. Yeah, it goes on to say these are the different tokens and coins that they take, and then they give you a randomized, like, you know, amount that will be given to people as a bonus. So right, I think they're at 2 million, right? So 2 million change. So at 2.2 million, 80 random wallets get a 35% bonus. At 3.75, 80 wallets get a 35% bonus, right? And in order to get this potential randomized bonus, you just have to sacrifice more than $5. I am curious. I don't know if I will be sacrificing this or not, but it could be interesting. I want to learn more about how the transformers may work from, like, I would assume that this is already capable without touching Ethereum, right? There's already bridges between these things, and so I would assume that you can still do this without touching Ethereum. I don't know for sure. There's going to be another transformer bridge that they talk about between Polygon, Binance, and Binance's smart chain. Interesting. Auto compounder, right? Metaverse, not excited about it at all. This protocol here could be useful. The magnitude of the effect, I mean, like, I don't know how like tremendously valuable that's going to be. Like, how many, you know, I just don't know. This could be very interesting and helpful, but I don't see it as being tremendously valuable necessarily, like how it's going to provide value, but it could be very interesting. The nodes of service also, like brokering these, I'm not sure how, I don't know enough about nodes to know if brokering this is a valuable thing to do, or there's probably other companies that already do this kind of stuff. So this will be interesting. Maybe this is the first project that's doing this on Pulsechain. And maybe these bridges could be valuable. Not excited about NFTs at all. But if you find investing into, you know, activism funds interesting, yeah, they didn't talk about any type of governance structure in here, which is kind of concerning for me. Like, you know, they give a roadmap, but like, what happens when shit changes and you run into a roadblock? Like, how does the community get to participate, or is it all just centralized, right? Because there's another thing here. This transformer bridge, they go on here, and this was like, oh man, I had to write this down. This is how concerning it was. So if you're standing up to the end, you get this you get a gold bit here, right? Liquidity for the bridge will be raised by the core as bonds, allowing the core to own all cross-bridge liquidity without having to indefinitely reward liquidity providers. That specific sentence was a little bit concerning for me. Why? Because why do you see providing returns to liquidity providers as a bad thing? In my point of view, this looks as like, we want to centralize liquidity so that we can earn all the returns instead of having it decentralized. I don't know. That was very concerning for me, to the point where I had to write it down. I wish I'd mentioned this earlier in the video, because a lot of people have probably stopped watching. If you found this video interesting, take a second, share with somebody else. I think this video, the sacrifice is still going on. I appreciate you guys. Got lots of other videos and interesting things. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do when everything launches? I just released a video on that yesterday, and I'd love to hear. I think there's 7 different things that people can do after the launch of PulseX and Pulsechain. So I want to hear your thoughts on that video. I appreciate you. Talk to you soon. Also, you can reach out on Twitter. There's a link down below. If you like fitness related stuff, you can touch base over on Twitter. Instagram is a lot more fitness related stuff. In the fitness world, it is a lot more of like the fringe type of stuff, just like this, where we're talking about fringe stuff that 99.9% of people have no idea about. That's what I talk about in the fitness side. Appreciate you. Peace.